Welcome to Data Talk, presented by IDEA Data and Research. DATA stands for Data Analysis Techniques Applied. Data Talk is a series of webinars for Arkansas's local education agencies on the use of data, particularly for special education staff. The series will cover the basic concepts of data, including understanding data sources, context of data, and analytical techniques. In this episode of Data Talk, we will be presenting on racial inequality in special education, significant disproportionality, also known as Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervening Services, or CCEIS. Racial inequality exists in education across America. However, it is most evident in the identification of students receiving special education and related services. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, requires states to analyze special education child count and discipline data for ages 3 to 21 in 14 areas of racial disproportionality using a risk ratio methodology. The CCEIS regulations, effective July 2018, required states to include preschool counts in the analysis as of July 2020. Due to the structure of Arkansas's preschool special education programs, the required preschool data by race are merged with the child's resident school district data. On this slide is a list of the significant disproportionality 14 areas of analysis by race ethnicity. With 14 areas of analysis and 7 race categories, there are 98 possible ways to be identified as having significant disproportionality. The first column of the table lists 7 categories, which are compared to the district's pre-K-12 enrollment. The areas of analysis are all disabilities, and 6 disability categories, which include intellectual disability, autism, emotional disturbance, speech and language impairment, other health impaired, and specific learning disability. In the second column are the 2 educational environments or placement categories. This data is compared to the 3 to 21 special education child count, not the district enrollment. The 2 categories being analyzed are students served in a day school and students who are in the regular classroom less than 40% of the school day. The numerator of the measurement includes K-12 students ages 5 to 21 only. Early childhood settings are not part of the numerator for the calculation. However, the comparative child count data by race is ages 3 to 21. The last column presents the 5 areas of discipline to be analyzed, and the comparison data is the 3 to 21 child count. Both columns 2 and 3 examines the data within special education, while column 1 examines the data across the district. The 5 areas are count of students receiving in-school suspensions greater than 10 days, and the count of students receiving in-school suspensions 10 days or less. Count of students receiving out-of-school suspension expulsion greater than 10 days, and the count of students receiving out-of-school suspension 10 days or less. The last category is the total count of disciplinary removal, which count the number of events and combines in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension expulsion, and unilateral removals to an alternate environment. On this slide, the graph displays the percentages for the special education ages 3 to 21 child count by race compared to the pre-K-12 enrollment. The y-axis or vertical axis is the percentage, and the x-axis or horizontal axis displays the 7 racial ethnic categories. Above each race ethnicity, the special education percentages are on the left in yellow, and the state pre-K-12 percentages are on the right in green. Students with an ethnicity of Hispanic comprises 11.71% of the special education child count, compared to 13.63% of the state's pre-K-12 enrollment. Students in the racial group of American Indian, Alaska Native make up 0.63% of special education child count, compared to the 0.578% of the pre-K-12 enrollment. Students in the Asian racial group represent 0.77% of special education child count and 1.7% of the pre-K-12 enrollment. 23% of students in special education are in the racial category of Black, compared to 19.85% of the state's pre-K-12 enrollment. Students in the racial group of Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander comprises 0.61% of special education and 0.95% of the state's enrollment. 59.88% of special education is comprised of students in the racial category of White, and 59.79% of the state's enrollment. The last racial category on the graph is two or more races. Students in this category comprise 3.41% of special education and 3.5% of the state's pre-K-12 enrollment. 11.59% of Arkansas's child count is comprised of preschoolers ages 3 to 5. 88.41% of Arkansas's child count is comprised of K-12 students ages 5 to 21. The addition of preschool students in this significant disproportionality calculation has an effect on the denominator for all 14 areas of analysis and 9 of the numerators. Preschool counts are not in the numerators for educational environments and the following disability categories: intellectual disability, emotional disturbance, and specific learning disability. Arkansas does not allow the identification of preschool children in the 3 disabilities mentioned previously. Therefore, if a district is being flagged for over-identification in one of those categories, the inclusion of preschool counts in the denominator may benefit the district. 68% of districts identified to set aside funds for the 2021-2022 school year is due to the disproportionate representation of Black students in the following areas of analysis: intellectual disabilities, 5 districts; specific learning disability, 4 districts; educational environment day school, 1 district; in-school suspension greater than 10 days, 3 districts; out-of-school suspensions, expulsions, 10 days or less, 1 district; out-of-school suspension expulsions greater than 10 days, 3 districts. This is compared to the 24% of districts being identified to set aside funds for the 2021-22 school year due to the disproportionate representation of white students in the following areas of analysis: all disabilities, 1 district; autism, 1 district; emotional disturbance, 2 districts; other health impaired, 1 district; specific learning disability, 1 district. And 4% or 1 district is identified to set aside funds for the disproportionate representation of Asian students in autism. Preliminary analysis of preschool inclusion to the calculation reveals numerous districts will exceed the 3.00 risk ratio threshold for the first time. Other districts will see their risk ratios decline from previous years and may even see themselves removed from the CCEIS requirement. However, only time will tell as we implement the preschool requirement. Districts must exceed the threshold for 3 consecutive years in the same category of analysis and race to be identified and required to set aside funds for CCEIS. The most recent district CCEIS profiles are posted at https://dese.ade.arkansas.gov/offices/special education/comprehensive-coordinated-early intervening-services-CCEIS. The district CCEIS profiles are updated annually in early December. The profiles show the risk ratios for all 14 areas of analysis and the 7 race categories for the most recent 3 years of complete data. Thank you for viewing this episode of Data Talk. We hope you have found it to be helpful and will join us for upcoming Data Talk episodes. Our contact information is IDEA Data and Research, University of Arkansas at Little Rock, 2801 South University Avenue, Stabler Hall 406, Little Rock, Arkansas 72204. Our phone number is 501-916-3219. Our fax number is 501-916-3238. If you have questions, you can contact Dr. Jody Fields at jafields@ualr.edu.